It was such an undertaking. We shot the entire movie in 13 and a half days. And so we finished, and it felt like, well, that's a blur. And then you go through, the editing process, and you're like, how did we do all this? And now that it's about ready to be out in the world, and I'm, talking to all the actors again who are also excited, and talking to other people who've made movies. And there really is this great sense of like, you know what? It's hard to make a movie, and we did it. So I feel like a real sense of pride about it. And I'm excited for everyone to see it. I also try to plan my schedule in a way that gives me a few weeks of really busy working where I'm maybe out of the house more than I want to be, but it's only for a few weeks. And then I have a few weeks where I get to be home more. And even if I'm working in this way where I'm on Zoom and my children are just downstairs. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then I'll try to keep that to being my day. I try not to book back-to-back things if I can. I try not to do back-to-back episodes of a TV show if I can. I do everything I can with the number one goal being my family's health and wellness. Mm-hmm. But part of my family's health and wellness is me feeling fulfilled. And I know that I want my children to someday prioritize their loves when they have a family, their loves of career and family. And I think the best way to do that is to model it for them. I have been one of those people that I get recognized pretty regularly, and I always have since Boy Meets World's been on the air. So I've always had a good relationship with fans because people will stop me. People will stop me and say, "Oh my gosh, you were in my living room every Friday." And so I've always had that when I've been out in the world. And then obviously social media just really bridges the gap between what people are doing in their homes and what you're doing in your home. And then the other thing has been doing conventions. Will Friedle started doing conventions years ago. He does a lot of voiceover work, and he started doing conventions as mostly the voiceover actor. And then Ryder ended up joining him. And so Ryder and Will were doing it. And then eventually Ben joined with them, and the three of them were doing it. And I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this, but I guess I'll try it. And once I did that, it was so amazing to meet people face to face where they have the opportunity to say, here's why I'm a fan. Here's why the show means something to me. And to hear all of their stories about the way they feel like they were raised by Amy and Alan Matthews, or how their own home life maybe wasn't as stable as Corey's, so that they felt like they got that sense of stability through the TV show, or how they wish they had a girlfriend or a friend like Topanga, or that they had that Topanga was the role model for them to be smart, to walk to the beat of their own drum, those things. And just that, you don't know those things until somebody tells them to you. You don't see it or feel it the same way they do. So those kinds of conversations and that kind of dialogue ultimately is really the reason why Ryder even came up with the idea for the podcast. He was like, I really think if we were to go back and watch the show, we could finally have an understanding and appreciation for it the same way our fans do. And he was right. We haven't seen it since the 90s. Ryder's never seen it. And so we're watching it really for what feels like the first time, certainly the first time through an adult lens. And it's really made us appreciate it all so much more. When Topanga, for the character first was created, I felt she was very different from me, mostly because she spoke very slowly. She was very sure of herself. She had a lot of, strong feminist beliefs and things that she had thought about that young Danielle had never even thought about. And as Danielle grew up, and as Topanga then grew up, we started to become more one and the same. And I don't know where the line is where it starts to blur. We're only in season 2. We're wrapping up season 2 of our podcast now. So we're wrapping up season 2 of the show as well. And I can already see in season 2 that Danielle and Topanga are very blurred. I don't know where one starts and one ends. And to this day, I don't know either. I don't know how much of who Danielle is because of the way Topanga was, or vice versa. I describe Topanga as just being on the other side of my heart. Like at any given point in time, I can click into it and she is I and I am she. So, and I'm so fortunate because I talk about that all the time too, that if actors spend their entire life wanting to be appreciated for even just one role. They do role after role after role, and they think maybe maybe one character will mean something to somebody. And the fact that I have that, and that I had it when I was very young. And it's something that no matter what else happens in my career, it will always be a defining aspect of who I am. And that then that character was so like such a cool person. How could you possibly get any luckier? Like I could have, like that's just cool.